Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners meeting for January 25th, 2022. We'll begin our meeting this morning by asking Pastor Juan Sanchez to come forward to give our invocation, and Commissioner Harvey will lead us in the pledge. Please stand if you're able.
Good morning, everyone. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity that you're giving me, Lord, this morning to come before your presence on behalf of this man and woman of yours. I thank you for this day, Lord, because you're giving a new day, Father. In the midst of this chaos and uncertain time that we live in, you wake us up this morning for a new opportunity to see your presence and your love in everything we do. I thank you, Lord, for the leadership that you have placed in this community, Lord, and the important role that they play on a daily basis. I pray for their families. I pray, Lord, that everything they do, Lord, they continue to do in wisdom, in love, and in grace for the sake of your people of Putnam County. I thank you, Lord, for the gift that you have given them, Father, to continue to do what they do, Lord, Father, in this community, Lord. I pray, Lord, that you keep them safe and their families, Lord. I pray that you continue to give them the wisdom that they need, Father, to continue to, Father, bring life into our community, Lord, Father. I thank you for the life. I thank you, Lord, for everything that you do and you accomplish through them, Lord. Keep them safe, Lord, Father. Bless them every day and bless everything that they do, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Sanchez, and thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Okay, we'll move down to our first item of business, presentation, and I will ask the One Putnam group to come forward for a presentation on a countywide event planner. We have with that group would be former state legislator and current president of St. Johns River State College, Mr. Joe Pickens, and also Mr. Breck Sloan, Danny Martinez, and Mr. Ben Bates.
All right, well, good morning, commissioners, and thank you for having us. So, what we want to talk to you about is a concept that we've been talking about amongst ourselves for a while. Chairman, you were at a meeting in December that we had with representatives of the city, Mr. Suggs, and others. Because of the sunshine law issues, we were only allowed to have one commissioner, one representative of the city, elected representative of the city. And so we did, to talk about the concept of an event planner. An event planner that we want to sponsor and hire, but we understood early on that if we did that, no matter how good of an idea that was, if we didn't do it in concert with all of the players in the county, then it would just be another good idea operating in a silo that would have limited effect. And so the purpose of our talking to that group in that meeting and to talk to you today is that we just simply want the commission to agree over time, as you understand the concept of this event planner, to cooperate, to coordinate. We understand that the county could do these things on their own, and the city has mentioned that they might do this type of thing on their own. We propose, and maybe the chamber could too, we propose that we hire on a part-time basis first to see how this goes, an event planner whose job would be to coordinate all of the events that are occurring throughout the county. That's why we're going to need to talk to the city commissions as well, so that there is a Visit Putnam that is as functional as Visit Savannah or Visit Charleston or Visit Greenville or Visit Asheville or Visit you name it, where there are communities that are ahead of us in what they're doing, but what we aspire to do. Without coordination, without a recognition by the county, the cities, frankly, all of the other organizations that have events during the course of the year, whether it's Catfish with Rotary or Blue Crab, without an understanding that there is one person that people will get to know, because we'll advertise that, where this is the number you call, this is the email that you email to. These are all of the things that one person can do if we have a point person in the county. We understand that there are some things that the county needs to have control over, certainly things that the city needs to have control over, especially as we concentrate events in downtown Palatka, zoning issues, permits, that type of thing. Without a clear interaction and integration between this person and this person's efforts and the government entities that control what can happen, when it can happen, how it can happen, then this will just be another ad in a website. And so I'm going to let Brett take it over from here, but the concept is that we are not asking you to help us fund this. We hope over time that this will become a permanent position and it will be worthy of consideration for funding from some sources other than our private dollars, but that's a conversation for down the road, and it's one that would only be had if we all had an understanding this was a successful joint venture among and between all of us in the county. So that's the concept. This is really just an awareness. I'm not even sure that there's a vote that you could take that would signify what we are looking for, but what we're looking for is an understanding of what is going to occur and at least an agreement that there will be access to the staff within your organization that we are going to need, this person will need, in order to do, in this case, her job as well as she possibly can, and for the greatest benefit of the community. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brett.
While we're working through some IT issues, thank you all for your time. I was reminded as I sat here this morning some advice and wisdom that was imparted on me by my late partner. When public speaking, never follow Dr. Bob McClendon, Carl Flagg, and I think I will now add Joe Pickens to that list. So we have a combination of brains and brawn, and you have already heard the brains, so I will be very simple in my approach. Maybe I can press the play button.
Volume there for you, sorry.
No volume necessary.
Okay.
I didn't want to drown out the, sometimes opportunities come. We obviously have a lot of wonderful opportunities happening in our community, and we are excited to see some of these projects that have taken lots of time and years come together, and sometimes opportunities like planning downtown and events for our community can be highlighted. What we hope to do is to try to bring some talents, and so we have the opportunity to engage on our team a young lady, Lanier Moats, Putnam County resident, and she currently is doing event coordinating as a profession, and she's agreed to work with us as we try to develop this position or person. We hope to be able to identify the current events that we have. Our community has an abundance of events. A lot of these events we're familiar with, blue crab and catfish festivals and bass tournaments, but there are a great number that our civic community supports and sponsors, and some of our church communities and community at large that simply don't have the reach or the message. And so what we hope to do is to have a central point of contact, someone who might make the coordination of events easier for any person who's put on something or a group that has put on something. You understand there's a lot of volunteers, there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of work, and there's no manual. And so it can be very frustrating. Certainly it takes a lot of time and expertise, and usually the person that signed up for it is simply the one who didn't attend the meeting and was nominated to coordinate that event. And so having a unique person who can coordinate these events for our communities, not just the city or downtown, but the county at large, we feel like will enhance. We also would like to extend their message, whatever that might be, to a larger community. When I say that, I mean North Florida and also nationally. And we feel like if we can spend some resources and some marketing dollars for this message, that we have an opportunity to brand our community, if you will, and also to announce to the world who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. We want to open our doors and welcome all. And that would be all inside of our community and those from outside our community who may want to come and join us. Being able to do that, I think, will not only enhance the current events that we have locally, and allowing our citizens to come, to engage, to be a part of. Human interaction, that really, if you think about it, is an opportunity for the community to do that, come together and be a community, to be one. And so we appreciate the opportunity to work with the county. We, again, aren't asking for anything specific other than simply the cooperation and coordination. And so we don't have a detailed plan at this point. We are taking the first steps. We're planting seeds. These are seeds that I hope will bear fruit for us sooner than later, but certainly for my children, our children's children in the future. If we get this right, we have an opportunity to enhance, to magnify, to extend the voice of our community, and so that's what we hope to do. We'd like to work in cooperation with the county, and if you have any questions I might be able to answer on specifics, great, and we may not have the answers, but we'll work together to try to create that.
Okay, thank you, Brett. Yeah, Commissioner Adamsack, you have a question?
I guess I'd just like to say this. I was part of a group, I think, that was put together by your group at the college. And Joe, you spoke in the beginning of it, and you led it. And from our table, this actual suggestion came from the table I was sitting at. And that was around 2 years ago. Last year, we had a commissioner priority meeting, which we vacated any of the priorities. But the bottom line is that was one of my priorities as well. And I do feel that it should probably be a county position at some point. I fully support it. I think it should be more of a community coordinator, because I think there's some overlaps between both what events happen and our not-for-profits and our other things as far as food banks and what services are out there, that I think if you had a full-time person, they may be able to coordinate all of that. And part of that, I believe, needs to be, and this is, I think we had about a 30-minute conversation that day, and that group of people at the table I was at spoke for about another hour afterwards out in the hall about this exact subject. That coordinator also needs to be aware of the available resources as far as whether it's banquet facilities or the fairgrounds and other things, and try to help them fill their dates. So, I mean, this discussion has been going on for a couple of years, and I really like that it came to us this way. I tried to bring it to us from the seat. It didn't get anywhere. So, thank you.
Yes, you're
Commissioner
correct.
Rawls?
The coordination of just our current assets, facilities, lodging, those things in coordination, we can make sure that we have events that are sponsored at the same time.
Mr. Rawls, you said yours. Did you have a comment?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, it's good. This is for tourist development, correct?
It certainly would fall into tourist development. You could also say economic development. You could say marketing. You could say event coordinator. You could say event planning.
Okay.
We'd like to do all of the above. If there are people who need assistance with that, whether it be a wedding or a social event or a community or a banquet, we'd like to open our doors to all of those. And so simply having someone who could help coordinate, that would be perhaps a marketing message, perhaps facility availability, simply letting the community know the activities and
So the
functions that are
the
available.
question goes to, we already fund tourist development through the chamber. Why would the chamber not take the lead in this?
We feel like the opportunity is to enhance the work that the chamber is doing. the work the county is currently doing, the work that the city is doing.
Can you elaborate on the enhancement? I guess there's just so many generalities and vagueness here. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. You're saying that you need access to agencies countywide that would or give y'all access to agencies. What is there something specific that's not happening now that you don't have access to that we could do better on our end? Is that what I'm hearing, or?
Well, I think what you would say is a question maybe directed at the chamber, and so I won't speak for them or answer that question for them. What we would like to do is to enhance all of those activities and work in coordination with the chamber, with economic development, with tourist development. All of those things don't cover all the space.
What I'm saying is, what's missing here? You guys are members of the chamber, you have access to that. Is there something that the county staff is not doing for someone that they don't have access to, they need more access to? What can we do differently? I'm trying to figure what the ask is.
The chamber has resources, and I'll let them speak to that. We are simply adding what we believe is the next logical step to increase events and activities in our communities. And by doing so, we will have someone whose primary focus and job is to do that. I understand the chamber has resources, but they also have a lot of people spread very thin doing a lot of jobs. And so if we can help enhance anything that they're doing, we want to do that. If we can go outside and solicit potential events that might be in alignment with our community and what we'd like to have as activities that we don't have today, we'd like to have the opportunity to have someone focused on that and working on that and coordinating that. Today you have a lot of people who express interest in communities like ours, not just Putnam County, all over. And it's a matter of having someone who makes it easy for those folks to come into a community, to have someone that can assist them with coordinating with the chamber, with tourist development, with the county, with the city, with public service. If we have an event that requires all of these different areas, it's very cumbersome and burdensome to come in, particularly if you don't know anyone or you don't have a roadmap. And so we simply want to enhance all of those things. Frankly, if the chamber is doing something with economic development and it's good for our community, we want to give it voice and reach. If the chamber is limited in budget, we would like to enhance that. We'd like to give them additional exposure. We'd like to spread the message further and wider. That would be a combination of things. Things that are more alignment to retail, that would be metadata and capturing databases and supporting the information that we're sharing with others who've expressed interest in our communities, perhaps from outside. So again, all of these things would be not to take anyone's responsibility, simply to add and enhance. So if we do have opportunities today, then I would say there's probably not a need for this position. It was discussed at many groups. Quint Studer, One Putnam's, a lot of just people talking about our community and what we would like to see through surveys and asking our community. And that was one of the items that continue to come up again and again and again. We'd like to see more activities. We'd like to have more to do. We'd like to have opportunities for our community to come together. So we're simply saying, what does that look like? How do we do it? And can we do it better?
So there's no ask of the commission, you're saying. I'm trying to figure, you don't need our support to do something like this, obviously. People do it all the time. I do agree that there needs to be some wrangling coordination. You had mentioned that y'all had discussed this with the city, and the city was looking at having their own. Is that going to be problematic, or would that be helpful to the city? Because pretty much the city plaque is the epicenter of Putnam County. Most of what happens, I would say, most in the city plaque in Crescent City. So if they have somebody in this position, is that going to be problematic for y'all, or do they work together, or?
We absolutely want to stay out of anybody's way, so we don't want to be political in nature. We don't want to stop anyone from doing anything. If the city is compelled to take action or have some person or coordinate events, we want to be there and say, how can we assist?
And we had recently, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, year and a half ago, there was a concert put on here, and there was, I guess the issue that came up was that there was no coordination between the fairgrounds, the fair committee, the staff, But we started using a form at that point. It brought out a deficiency on our end, and there was coordination. So you do have coordination between the fire department and the sheriff's department and public works when we have events like that. Are y'all aware of that? That we have a committee like that?
And that is exactly the type of work that we would want to add value to our communities by doing.
Okay.
And if that's working with different governmental agencies, great. If it's working with the community at large or the not-for-profit sector or the civic groups, we'd like to be there to support them and ask that everybody have a seat at the table, be very transparent in our approach, and look for opportunities and best practices.
I'm all for smaller government. The more you guys can do, the less we have to do. I think that's a great thing. I just don't know when you start looking at the coordination portion of what's required for a large event, and just say Blue Crab Festival, if that was being held in the county, then there is an impact on fire and EMS, on the sheriff's department, on public works, almost all of our agencies, as a matter of fact, sanitation. So I'm not sure how that kind of coordination works with you guys, but we're, as far as I know, we're already set up for that.
And we may do it very well. If that is the case, we have plenty of opportunity elsewhere, and we'll spend our time focused in those areas. It may be an opportunity for us to work. Certainly the young lady we have has great experience in other communities to find out what they do that perhaps we don't do as well, and we can focus our efforts and coordination in those areas. So again, we don't want to impede anyone or stop any progress. We're not asking for any commitment of treasure or purpose, but we simply want to say this is what we would like to do, and we would like to work in cooperation. So if the county's got everything under control, we certainly will have plenty to focus on, and we'll rest assured that's being well handled. If there's anything we can do to assist the county, we'd like to be there and offer that.
Excellent, thank you.
Can I add something, please?
Yes.
So where we're really going is Blue Crab has a life of its own, and frankly, so does Catfish. And those things have occurred for so long. What we're looking at really, Commissioner, is instead of 18 smaller things where everybody is doing everything themselves. And here's the best example I have. When we had, pre-COVID, we had a bass tournament at the same time that we had a baseball tournament, at the same time that we had 100 or so cyclists come in for the weekend.
And pickleball?
And so I happened to be at a chamber meeting, imagine that. And I'm asked, can the bicyclists use the gym to sleep in and our showers because there's no room in the inn? Well, that was, frankly, the same situation I was faced as the college president when the baseball teams had no place to stay. And the only communication that occurred involving these events was my athletic director knew exactly what was going on with his baseball tournament, and pickleball people knew exactly what was going on with pickleball, and the bicyclists, they know what's going on with them, but we hadn't had a conversation amongst ourselves. And so that's really what this is about. Breck used this term yesterday, is we see ourselves as Switzerland. We just simply want to coordinate for everybody. And one of the issues is we're going to make the same presentation to the city council, since we were only able to commission, so we were only able to talk to the mayor, and talk to them about why we think this is a good approach. But the other idea is not just to coordinate, as Breck mentioned, the events that we have, but turn those 18 events into 28 and then 58 and then 88 and then 108, whereas again, and when Breck and I talked yesterday, there are a couple of things going on average, every week somewhere in the county, but they're not occurring in isolation where, for instance, a couple of weeks ago over Martin Luther King, there was a fine bazaar going on in Willaca that we just happened to stumble on, and I'm not sure whether they coordinated with, well, when were the MLK events in Palatka or Crescent City, and how can we manage those things? So what we're trying to do, two things. The internal one is that we communicate amongst ourselves better through a conduit that is independent, and frankly, We could have gone to the chamber. We'd be asking the chamber to use their limited resources to take a person or part of a person and do this, and it might not be their expertise. Instead, Breck found someone that this is their expertise, and that's why we're willing to fund it rather than ask the chamber to divide somebody up to do it. And down the road, we may see that this is a good investment of TDC dollars or something else, but I'm not even suggesting to you that we'll ever be that way. We hope it will be a self-perpetuating position that we all recognize grows into something that is bigger. Externally, we want Northeast Florida first, but ultimately we want the world, and we all know now the world is available by the click of a mouse. We want the world to know there is one place that you go to that pops up, and that is your one-stop shop for, wait, what's happening in Putnam County? I think I might want to go there. Well, maybe I'm going to go April instead of March because I can now see everything that's happening, or if I want to have an event, I know who to contact. And then that person is going to reach out to the county or Crescent City or Palatka or whoever it is. So it's also externally trying to make it as easy for the consumer to figure out what there is, or if they want to do something or participate, how do they do that? That's really our goal.
Okay, Commissioner Turner?
I completely understand the opening comments of Mr. Sloan that he doesn't want to follow Dr. McClendon, Reverend Flagg, or Joe Pickens, but I believe you can add yourself to that list too, Breck. I don't really want to follow you either. I applaud you guys' efforts, I really do. I think this is a great step in the right direction. You're right, this type of thing has been talked about for many years now in different groups that I've attended over the years. But it always takes the visionaries to take that first step and make it happen. So this commissioner appreciates y'all and y'all's efforts to bring this forward. And I agree with you. I think that at some point this will be something that will be funded by everybody, not just starting by you guys, but it'll be funded by everybody. I don't think it can be funded by one entity, whether it be the county, the city, the chamber, whoever it is, because if it is, it won't be as effective as if everybody funds it together and makes this a position that's open to everyone. And so hopefully that's where it goes sometime in the future. But I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys bringing this forward, and it's been long overdue. And any support you need from me, just don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Adamczak? Don't go just yet, Joe.
I don't mind speaking after anybody, but that's just me. As far as this goes, I fully support it. I think it's something that needs to happen, whether it's from a standalone entity like you guys, or the county does it, or it's a partnership. This is exactly the type of thing we need for public-private partnerships for this county. The one thing we do need to start looking at is, I just give you guys an example in the chambers here too today. I have between 15 to 20 people come into the county a year just to come visit us and hang out, and almost never are we able to get a hotel room in the county. We need to probably start pushing something out to the different hotel builders and different establishments that we need beds here, because we're out of beds. I can tell you, I just had it happen 2 weeks ago. So we're putting people in Ocala and all over the place, and we're traveling out of town to spend our money to go visit with them because they don't want to drive in and out with their rental car, and because they're not familiar with the area. So and that's happening. I know a lot of people that happens to, where they have family and stuff out from out of town that comes in, and friends. And I had business people come in from Nashville. I really wanted to showcase Putnam. They couldn't get a place here. So basically I got them to come to the golf course. We played a round of golf, but outside that they were in Silver Springs because that's the only place they could find somewhere to stay at a bed and breakfast. So that's another thing just to keep our minds around as a group. I fully advocate for this, and I think it needs to go even a step further than what you guys are talking about, to like community coordination, because I think there's a lot of overlap. A lot of the events that happen are driven by not-for-profits and vice versa. And one way that you could raise funds is, obviously a lot of this is going to be web-based. Local advertisers could pay to be on there, Beck or whoever it ends up being, different restaurants, different things that people could come do, and that would be a way to raise some funds as well. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I greatly appreciate y'all coming today in the group. And I thank you, and I tell you, this video is outstanding. Just the opening scene of the bass boats leaving is just amazing. And if you haven't been down there, you'll see it in a few weeks. Get down there early in the morning and watch this event. But the whole city of Palatka, everything is just wonderful. I put on events. I put on events for 36 years out in Interlaken. I know how difficult it is. Every year, are y'all going to do July 4th? Do y'all have a Christmas celebration? I never knew that. People that lived there their whole life. And it's or is it, what day is that on? Well, it's always the first Saturday. But it's amazing that getting that message out in the community. And I look forward to be able to tell someone, here's what we're doing, help us promote, help us do this. And anytime, any group can promote Putnam County, that's what we should be about doing. And I applaud you, I thank you very much, and I look forward to that person being there that I can go to. Yes, I can go to the chamber and let them know when my event's taking place, and I do. I can go to the newspaper and do the same. But it doesn't have the same effect of getting out there and someone advocating for you. And if you've been noticing Facebook this week, there's a fly-in that's fixing to happen at the airport. And the girl that's heading it up is looking for, and I'm trying to plug her in, and but they're recreating themselves. And I get that. But I tell you, I applaud you. I fully support this. And anything I can do as a commissioner or a person, I'm on board for that. So thank you very much.
Okay, we'll wrap it up. Commissioner Rawls?
Encourage our citizens to all take action in whatever programming that they might want to. I think you're absolutely correct that it's a community event. It is not singular. So.
I think everybody's correct, and I agree with everybody to my right. I went on the chamber website a few seconds ago, looked on tourism. I think what's missing is there's a banner across the top that talks about a fishing tournament, but I think what's missing is maybe we need a banner that you click on that opens up a schedule of events. That would be a real quick and easy, but also have that link shareable to the county, our county BOCC website, and then other websites for Blue Crab, for other, our Rotary group might be able to allow something like that. I'm not speaking for them, but being able to have access that way you're, from a social media perspective, you're blasting everything out there. As far as the coordination goes, again, I don't know that there's anything that we're not willing to do or that we're not currently doing, and if we are, it just needs to be brought to our attention as far as getting the agencies involved that need to be, and then the city of Palatka. We're in talks with them right now to have a joint commission meeting to be able to discuss, and this might be something that comes up during the meeting to be able to, because it seems like they shoulder a lot of what happens in the community, the city of Palatka itself. So maybe there's something we can do to help them and get a larger group involved. But I agree, citizens are the most important part of this community. That's what makes everything happen. The commission, the county governments in total don't put on the blue crab, the catfish, all the other festivals, the Zoe Festival, and I think if we did, they would just be disastrous. So it really does take the community to get involved in stuff like that. They're fun events, and that's how they start, and that's how they have to be, how they need to be run.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rawls. I was privileged to be at the meeting when they introduced this idea, and we were going to have a joint meeting with the city of Palatka and bring them in to talk to both groups about it, but we haven't been able to set that meeting, so I thought it was important enough to bring it to the commission sooner. So, and I think from listening to the commissioners, you're looking for our support, so can we wave in support, gentlemen, of 100%? And one of the things the first question I asked would they be able to coordinate with the municipalities such as Pomona Park, Crescent City, and Willaca, interlocking with your 4th of July, Bostwick, with Blueberry Festival, and help promote those and bring people in, that maybe have never been here before. So I'm excited about how this will work. So we sure appreciate your presentation and appreciate your commitment to Putnam County.
We thank you.
Okay, thank you. Administrator Suggs, do you have any comments you'd like to make before we move on?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the same meeting that you did and heard the presentation firsthand. And I believe it's absolutely an outstanding opportunity to have someone come in to assist the entire community, not just a municipality or the county. And as we talked that day, the only comment really that I had was just tell us where we sign up, and we'll give you whatever assistance we can to make sure that this is successful. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity to see what Putnam County can put together for citizens not only here but around our state, or as that's Brick alluded to, around the world. So looking forward to it.
Would y'all like just our commitment and an approval, or would you like a letter? Would a letter from the commission supporting this? Okay, all right, thank you so much. Okay, we'll move down to item B. Ms. Julianne Holmes-Young, Deputy County Administrator with Countywide Project Update.
Hold
Good
on to
morning.
your seat.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's time for our monthly updates. As you'll remember, this is not intended to be an all-inclusive list of every project or initiative underway. It's meant to be a highlight of some projects that are of most importance to our commission, our administration, or our citizens. With that, the Administration Department has a contract database project underway. Administration and IT have developed a contract management database. Final program testing and contract documents uploads are in progress. Animal Control Facility core borings have been obtained. The analysis has been received. Commissioner Rawls requested and was granted approval by the BOCC to finalize engineering plans with an engineering firm he's working with. Once stamped and sealed, plans are provided to the staff, we can proceed with procurement of construction services. The Department of Health has a COVID initiative underway. They continue to offer all 3 COVID vaccines at the Department of Health Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. No appointment is needed for the vaccines. Curative continues to offer COVID testing at the Husson site Tuesday to Saturday, 9 to 5. Walk-ins are accepted until 1 p.m. After 1 p.m., an appointment is required. For those interested on the monoclonal antibody treatment, there is a locator for all sites on the statewide Florida Health COVID-19.gov website. There's also a support line set up for inquiries. Patients are able to make appointments at www.patientportalflorida.com. The IT department has several projects. The phone system migration is complete. Over 800 phone numbers were converted to SIP trunk. IT is in the process of cleaning up the phone systems for consistency across all offices and troubleshooting any remaining issues, but migration is complete and was successful. The Exchange server migration email is nearing completion. The new Exchange servers are live and email is routing through them. IT is in the process of migrating the mailboxes to the new servers and anticipate being done by the end of January. Animal Control application is nearing completion. Animal Control is currently beta testing the new application developed by Putnam County IT for animal and call tracking. IT anticipates going live with the new software in February after the application has been fully beta tested. Sanitation fiber project is nearing completion. Networking has been working with sanitation on their building projects to reroute the networking at the landfill, with the first phase of the project is complete. The second phase will be complete after the new scale house is installed. Server backups is complete. IT has implemented a new backup system for our servers, and it is fully in production. The library has the Melrose Library expansion underway. Drywall is underway. Paint will follow. Visqueen remains in place of windows. Windows and wood door will be delivered in January. Electrical and HVAC on the 4th and 5th of January. Windows coming in after that. Flooring to start mid-January. Countertops, base trim, and final paint will be started in January as well. Final inspections and the punch will be done after that. The CO is expected on or about the end of January or the beginning of February. Interior doors will arrive before the windows and will be installed. Attic access to the library has been cut and trimmed to match existing in the manager's offices. Should be framed in after the electrical work is complete. Exterior paint appears to be complete. The Parks and Recreation Division has the Georgetown Park update underway. UF Extension Services has provided staff with a conceptual drawing as well as suggestions for completed certain requirements that county is attempting to complete to come into compliance with the Florida Communities Trust Grant. Flora Home Park Historic Building, the rough heating and air was installed, providing the building for the first time with modern central air and heating. The building has never had air conditioning and was originally heated with a wood-burning stove. With rough electrical, plumbing, and heating AC complete, we called for county inspection and passed without any problems noted. We are still waiting for the installation of the well, which will then allow the septic system to be inspected and complete. Right after the holiday, they began working on exterior structures to include 2 covered porches and the handicap ramp and parking space. The concrete was poured and concrete foundation work is complete. Additionally, they received a work day and cleanup on the job site with the help of 8 volunteers. We have embarked upon what we hope will be the final fundraising drive to complete the building interior. Finally, in early April, they are hosting a Celebrate Trail cycling event with 100% of the funds raised being used for the restoration. The Planning Department has the comp plan update. The recently adopted Putnam County Comprehensive Plan is now in effect and has been uploaded to the county's website under Planning and Zoning's page. The Building Department has the CitizenServe online permitting. CitizenServe is live. Public Works has Fort Gates Ferry Landing. Construction of the landing is underway. Additional construction activities required to complete the project will be discussed during this afternoon's workshop. The Barton Bridge is underway. Construction of the bridge rehabilitation is ongoing. The project is scheduled to be completed by March 15th. St. John's Avenue resurfacing, Palm Avenue to CSX crossing. Negotiations with CEI consultant are anticipated to be complete by February. Upon completion, the negotiated amount to complete the services will be presented to the board for award. County Road 310 bridge rehabilitation. Responses to the request for qualifications to perform the CEI services have been obtained and ranked list has been completed. Final permitting activities are underway. Septic to sewer conversion phase 2. The contractor has installed 67 of the 89 grinder pump systems and 27 septic tanks have been decommissioned. The completion of the project is anticipated to be April of 2022. Septic to sewer conversion phase 3. Public Works is currently completing the bid documents for the project and collecting the required utility easements and utility agreements needed to begin the project. Anticipation start date is June of 2022. Salem, Sawyer, and Bowl Green Drainage Project. Construction is underway. The anticipated completion date is March of 2022. Dirt to pave fiscal year 20. The final punch list items are being addressed. Dirt to pave 2021. Bids were obtained on January 14th, and staff will bring an award to the BOCC meeting on February 8th. Dirt to pave 2022. Survey work is underway by county staff. East Putnam drainage and flooding mitigation, phases 1 and 2. Phases 1 and 2 construction activities have been completed. The recommendation for award of phase 3 construction activities is on this morning's consent agenda. The completely executed amendment 2 to the funding agreement with FDEP has been obtained. Phase 4 permitting and design activities are underway. St. John's Avenue drainage improvements, State Road 19 to County Road 309C. Engineering, design services, and advertisement for construction activities are scheduled to be complete in February for segments 1 and 2 of the project. Amendment 2 to the agreement with DEO has been executed by the board and sent to DEO for counter execution. St. John's Avenue multi-use trail. Public Works is scheduled to meet with FDOT and FHWA on January 27th to discuss additional funding and time extension possibilities for the project. Countywide drainage improvements, construction is underway. Point of Woods Trail is substantially complete. Ida Boulevard is underway, and the anticipated completion date for the project is May of 2022. South Palm Sidewalk, Druid Street to Silver Lake Drive. The signed funding agreement has been obtained from FDOT. Construction bid documents are underway and anticipated to be advertised in early February. Saratoga Harbor Drainage Project, Gibbs Avenue. Construction bids have been obtained and value engineer discussions are scheduled for early February. St. James A. Long Elementary and Jenkins Middle School safe routes to school. 100% design plans are under review by FDOT. Fiscal year 21 road resurfacing project is complete. County Road 315 resurfacing project, negotiations with engineering design consultants are anticipated to be completed by early February. Upon completion, the negotiated amount to complete the services will be presented to the board for award. Point of Vista wastewater treatment plant conversion and sewer main extension. The bid documents for construction services are underway and anticipated to be advertised in February. Paradise Point sewer system hardening and generator installation. Answered all requests for additional information from FDEM. Currently waiting for construction agreement from FDEM. Countywide guardrail installation, repairs, and replacements. One construction bid has been attained for the project. Value engineering discussions are being considered prior to presenting a recommendation for award. Painting of the BOCC building and Public Works. Painting is underway at the BOCC. Work has not began at Public Works. Sanitation has the Cell 4A construction project. The Cell 4A is almost complete with tentative completion date of February 23rd. All materials are on site. Leachate drains are in. The protective sand layer is going in at this time. The rain cover and pump stations are what's left to be installed. That concludes my project update.
Okay, thank you. A lot of things going on in Putnam County, as you can see from that report. So, Commissioner Turner, you have a question?
Yes, on the Paradise Point generator, that's for a sewer system, right? Are we not tying that sewer system into our sewer system? Can you? Yes, sir, we are. Okay, that's what I thought. We still need a generator there, even by tying it into the new sewer system. Okay, that's the only question I had. I just didn't want to buy a generator. We tie in next month, and we didn't need a generator. So, okay, that's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, Commissioners? Okay, Commissioner Harvey?
Julianne, I appreciate you bringing all this out. I know it takes a lot of time and effort and breath on your part, but truly, no one can be watching or sitting in this audience that doesn't see that Putnam County has a lot going on throughout the county, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Julianne. Okay, we move down to 9:05, public hearing, planning and development services. I'll turn it over to Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. This is ordinance number 2022-001, an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County, Florida, adopting an amendment to the Putnam County Comprehensive Plan, adding element J, property rights, pursuant to the requirements of section 163.3177 of the Florida statutes, providing for conflicts, inclusion in the comprehensive plan, severability, and setting forth an effective date.
Mr. Chairman, after public comment, I'll be happy to move approval. We've already heard this before.
Yeah.
And approved it before now.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, pardon? What was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sound like you got a cold this morning, Gabriel.
Well, I'm mostly over it. My voice hasn't recovered.
I said, once we have our public hearing for, I'm ready to propose moving this forward.
Oh, okay.
We've already heard this once.
Okay.
And it hasn't changed from when we heard it before.
Do you have any other comments you want to make, Gabriel? Go ahead.
I'll just briefly state that the proposed element was transmitted to the Department of Economic Opportunity on December 3rd of last year, and on December 20th, DEO issued its review letter and had no comments on the proposed element. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions from commissioners? Okay, seeing none, I'll open the public comment portion of this public hearing. Any individual wishing to speak for or against this ordinance, please come forward. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion of this meeting. And what's the pleasure of the commissioner?
Second.
Okay, we got a proper motion approved by Commissioner Turner and a proper second by Commissioner Harvey. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, moves forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. You want a break before the consent agenda? Move on.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move down to public comments on agenda items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect the board will engage or debate or deliberation on matters in which the board has received no prior information. We please ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. So is anybody wishing to make public comment on agenda items? If you could please come forward. We'd like you to fill out a blue card, but you don't have to do that. So anybody wishing to make public comment on agenda items? Okay, Ms. Jenny. And as she's coming up, this is Ms. Jenny Oakwood, and she sits on the Animal Control Advisory Committee, which is a volunteer board and pays nothing, but we appreciate your time and efforts there. So.
Thank you very much. I just want to ask the committee if there's any updates concerning Putnam County Animal Services new shelter. Our next committee meeting is March 21st. We're interested to see if there's any engineering plannings done, bid process, the actual plan of actions and phases of the project. We really would appreciate an update, either through an email or one of you can come to our meeting. We really would appreciate that very
I'll
much.
take that.
Okay, Jeff, before you go, and Jenny, I think you walked out. You were in the hallway when Julianne gave the update on the facility. So Commissioner Rawls, do you want to make any
Yeah.
comments before she sits down?
And I articulated this to a couple of the board members in the past couple of weeks. So at this time, we have the architectural drawings about 60%, which means almost 90. But I spoke with the administrator this morning. We're to the point now where we need to go and engage a construction manager to finish the plans out. Architectural and engineering wise, that's the easy part. We need to get the construction manager. They need to bring on board the electrician, the mechanical, and the plumbing. Those will be designed by those individual contractors, which is a huge cost savings to us. Mr. Troxel is working on getting us an area where the site will be located. There's some confusion. The site plan that the architect has in the drawings right now, I don't think is correct. They know where the soil borings were done. We'll get that pinned down the next week or so. Denny Nicole is working on developing the site plan from Public Works for us, which is a big step. But we're making strides. And I can promise you right now, if we had a permit to start work tomorrow, it would be a very long, slow process because right now getting materials is just very difficult. So,
I appreciate that very much.
Yep.
So I think starting this project and having Kathy's staff at Animal Services will increase morale. She's had a lot of turnover. As you know, the location and
It's
the
horrendous. You're right.
situation, they are full to capacity. So any assistance and any update, if we can have any changes for the March 21st meeting, we would greatly appreciate it very
Shoot me an
much.
email, I'll reply back with the architectural drawings. Nothing's changed since y'all saw it last time as far as the floor plan, the elevations. It's just now compiled on paper. You got your path of egress and all that's figured in there. So if you want to shoot me an email, we're happy to respond.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jenny. Okay, any other public comment at this time on agenda items? Okay, we'll close the public comment portion. And Commissioner, we'll move down to item 5, the consent agenda. Any items, any commissioners wishing to pull, and we'll start to my right with Commissioner Adamczak.
Items N and O.
Okay, Commissioner Turner,
I have none.
Commissioner Rawls,
Items D and E just for conversation.
D and E. Commissioner Harvey?
I have none, sir.
Okay, and I have none.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we pass items A, B, C, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, and M.
Okay, we've got a proper motion. Do we have a proper
Second.
second on these items? Okay,
Under discussion,
okay,
was
discussion.
it N or M that you pulled?
N like Nancy
N,
and O
okay.
like octopus.
Thank you. that
Whatever
is
the
correct.
phonetic alphabet.
I just marked it wrong.
Okay, in and
I'm
out,
gonna
okay.
start making up my own phonetic alphabet.
Okay, so we have a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey and a proper second by Commissioner Adamczak. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, Commissioner Adamczak, we'll move down to we'll start with item N.
So item N, I mean, it's basically the same as when I pull anything when we're doing a purchase, and I only see one item as an option for us to see what the price was. I can't get behind that. I won't ever vote yes again for an item that doesn't have multiple vendor choices or an explanation of why we went with a single source. And the explanation should present us some comparables. So I know that's never come up with IT until today, but I've been saying it with regards to every other agency in the county. So I don't see why that wouldn't apply to IT, from my opinion. I think there's tons of different companies that offer routers and networking equipment, and to only have one listed here for us to go, oh, okay, this is it. It's unacceptable to me, so I will be voting no on this.
Okay. On N, or you're just on N now, correct? Or N, oh, okay, on N. Commissioner Rawls, you're like, okay, it's working now.
On O, is there any other option when you have Microsoft software for support?
I think we're only on N right now, right?
Okay, let's stick
Oh,
to
okay,
N
I got
first.
you, I'm sorry.
Okay, and Julianne, you have a comment?
Just for clarity, we're not single sourcing either item N or item O. Both of them are purchased off the state contract, which means, which is part of our procurement code. And the process there is that the state has gone through, because the state has tenfold the amount of procurement division that we have, that they have gone through a competitive solicitation where they've brought in 100 different vendors and negotiated the prices down. So this was competitively solicited, and then we are utilizing it via a piggyback contract that we're able to use as another agency who uses the state contract.
The state doesn't list only one router, though, so I'd like to see what the costs were of the other companies and what the reason why we chose
Other
this.
model routers?
Sure, the state contract doesn't just have one router
No,
type.
it doesn't. I'm trying to understand what you want.
The same thing I want from everything that we see, I want to see multiple choices and why we picked the one we picked. So if the state has 3 or 4 and we edged it down to 1 because it is better suitable for the equipment we have, things like that, just like when we did the Bobcat, right? That Mr. Troxel was able to explain it after I brought it up. But I'd like to see that as part of our documentation, so we're making a decision based on reasons, not just a number. There are other routers that are competitive with that price and on the state contract. And I'd like to know why we didn't choose the other ones and why this one is more beneficial to our community and our county with every decision we make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Turner?
So my question, I guess, would be, because I don't totally understand what Commissioner Adams-Zach is asking. Are you asking that as part of future state contract commitments that you would like a statement as to why that particular one was picked? Because the state's already done the procurement issues and bid out the different things against one another, and the state contract is the cheapest bid of all the routers that they selected on the state level. So if you're asking that we rebid everything that we currently buy off a state contract, then you need to make a motion for that, because I'm gonna vote against it, because all you're doing is adding 100 years' time to our staff.
Yeah,
Wait a minute, I didn't interrupt you, and you can wait till I'm done and have it back at me. So I don't think we should do that. I think we should buy state contracts. So if you're asking the first thing, which is for them to give you a better explanation, I'm on board. You know, a better explanation of why we picked it. It was state contract. We utilized the state contract procedure, and because they've already vetted this on the state level. So doing that again on the county level makes no sense. So if you would maybe give me a little clarity on what.
So let's compare it to like a tractor situation, right? We're picking between John Deere, Kubota, and so. They're all on the state contract, right? And we get presented with one. I'd like to see why we picked the one, and then I'd like to see what the prices were of the others from the state contract, just to compare it.
Well, the tractors are a certain tractor, like there'll be and I'm making this up, but it'll be like a 50-horse Kubota or 70-horse John Deere, or there won't be two 50-horse just alike tractors on the state contract.
Right, and this works exactly the same.
Okay.
See, routers aren't exactly the same.
That's why I'm trying to clarify.
And that's why I use that comparison, because there may be differences between the two. Our IT director may have chosen this one because it's more compatible with our environment, things like that.
So that's the question I'm asking. Are we asking staff as part of the procedure when they present it to us, because we've already talked about this the other day in workshop. So if, as part of the procedure, when it comes to the board, are you asking them to say why they picked that particular router instead of a different one that they could have bought on the state contract?
What the benefits of that one is in a comparison to 2 or 3 other ones.
Is that
the price off the state contract listed.
It would be no different than what Mr. Troxel did on the Bobcat instead of the Kubota. He said we wanted a Bobcat, and this is why. So can we do that and just add that in the first sheet that just says on there the reason we picked this one is it's the most compatible with the equipment we have now, or something? Would that suit you?
And the comparable costs of alternatives.
Yeah, so, I don't know
You
about
can do that?
comparable costs, I don't know.
Or have the department head, that would probably have been James to do that, right? Exactly, could you be able to do something like that? Okay.
But I don't know how we can get a comparable cost
Because
of
the state contract,
alternatives.
just like for tractors,
But
has
it would
4
be
different
different.
routers.
But it's a different tractor. I mean, the router, they
It's-
don't have on state contracts, unless I'm mistaken, they don't have 5 different routers that are just alike. They have a router, but maybe one has more gigs or less gigs, or I don't know. I'm not an IT guy. Ask me how to nail a shingle, I can do that. So, so I guess my point is that I don't think they have 2 that meets the needs that would be on the state contract. They might have different kinds of routers, but IT determines what their needs are, and then they hunt that router on the state contract, because it's already been vetted for price on the state contract. So, I guess, again, I'm just not sure what you're asking. I apologize for that, but I'm just not sure what you're asking.
I think he wants justification of why we went with that particular part number
Right.
from the state contract and what the prices were on the other ones. He just wants, it sounds like he just wants a little more
Cost
information.
justification based on what they don't have that this one
Which
offers.
I think, I think y'all can do that to a point. I'm sure there'll be a point where we chose this one because it fits better with our existing stuff, so we didn't even look at the other ones. But I just think he's asking for a little more information to justify why we chose this particular one, if that's possible. Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I move item N for approval.
Okay, we've got a proper motion, to move item N forward. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a second by Commissioner Rawls and a first by Commissioner Harvey. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay.
On O, this is simply a note, just that on where we have it listed as O, it's 149.9, and then in our stuff later, it's 143.9. So I just want to make sure we're reconciling the proper number.
Good catch.
That was an agenda sheet cover typo, Mr. Chairman. That's what
I
that
just
was.
want to make sure we were clear that we're doing 143.9. It's,
143.9.
Okay,
That is
thank you.
correct.
Mr. Chairman, I move item O for approval.
second.
Okay, we've got a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey, proper second by Commissioner Adamsack. Commissioner Rawls, did you have a question on O
Nope.
earlier? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item O passes. We'll move to Commissioner Rawls, who pulled item D and E.
Yeah, we can work them both at the same time, they're the same thing. So, I guess if maybe Chad or JR could come up, answer a couple questions. I have no problem at all with having private ambulance service in the county. My question goes to, are we starting to pick up our call volume to where we're starting to utilize private ambulances in the county?
We did during the peak of COVID, and we were able to utilize private service underneath the local state of
I'm
emergency.
thinking right now.
Not necessarily at the moment, but I mean, we're probably getting close. If we picked up another 1,000 calls a year with growth, I mean, we could possibly get there. We're not there yet. But there is days that we do need some assistance. And I think that's what these companies will do, is provide us the days that we need assistance. If we don't necessarily need it every single day, but there is times throughout a day that we do, but they're also helping us, they get all the non-emergencies out of our hospital.
So what I want to be clear on is, I went to you a long time ago and said, we need to get them in. We knew we needed the relief. We were depending on St. Johns County and Alachua County.
Correct.
My concern is that we become dependent on that, but they are not obligated to back us up. So I just want to make sure that we're not getting so dependent on them at some point that we're not looking at funding more positions and putting in more ambulances as we need them. I'm not a proponent for the private sector to be performing the services of what the public sector should be performing. So I know, if you got some tough days here and there, you need some backup, I get it. But if there comes a point in time when we need to sit down and have a conversation about increasing staffing, equipment, or whatever, we need to have that conversation and not
Absolutely.
just let this automatically shift over them. That's all I'm
Absolutely.
saying.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Harvey?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea when we have the private sector backing up the public sector, and anytime we can engage people to help us and relieve our employees and the stress that they're under and the workload, I think it's great. So, Mr. Chairman, I move item D and E for approval, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, Jared, hang on just a second. Okay, we got a proper motion by Commissioner Harvey and a proper second by Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Adams-Ack, under discussion.
Yeah, so for discussion, I fully support having private-public partnership wherever we can, where they can augment our services, where we have holes, as well as where they could potentially provide cost savings. So I am not necessarily as adamant about not having them and stuff as Commissioner Rawls spoke, but definitely in limited fashion and in a way that makes sense for the county. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Okay, Commissioner Rawls, you had?
Just for clarity, I'm not opposed to it. My concern is that when the private sector gets busy, and sometimes they do, they're not obligated to give us any backup. So I just want to make sure that we have our bases covered at a minimal level. I know that there's days when, you know, there's going to be months when times get tough, especially when folks move down here in the wintertime. I'm assuming it's still the same way, or is our call volume higher in the wintertime in the south end of the county like it used to be, or is it pretty steady all year long now?
It's pretty steady all year long now.
They've came and stayed, huh?
Yeah, for the most part, but I mean, I just want to put a point of clarity. That document makes them, if they're available, to provide us backup. If they're here and we call them, they have to provide it. That's what the
Right.
COPCN is for in front of you guys today, so
Yep.
that
No, I
they are
get it.
contractually obligated to assist us when we need it.
But my point is that if they're available, if they're not, if they have transports out of county, out of state that are taking a long time and their equipment's not here, we're dependent on ourselves.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure we keep our on that.
Hang on just a second, Jared. Commissioner Turner?
You know, I believe all the request is here today is to make it possible, if they can, to help us out where right now they can't. So it's just another tool in JR's toolbox to be able to give the proper service to the county at the highest level that he can. They're not asking for all this other stuff being discussed, valid points, but all they're asking today is to be able to allow those two companies to back them up if they can. That's all that they're asking. Otherwise, there is no other option. So that's, I believe, is what he's asking today.
100% correct.
Okay, thank you.
I totally get it. I'm just, again, from a strategic budgeting standpoint,
JR, I got one
I
more.
understand, build the watch,
that-
I get it. Yeah.
not building a clock. This is about us keeping our eye on what's going on and making sure. You look at Volusia County, at one point, I don't know if they still are, they were 100% dependent on AMR. They didn't even have a paid rescue service.
Yeah, it had EVAC down there.
EVAC, okay.
Yes, but
So-
some of the municipalities now are transporting down there.
Right. So,
Volusia County's actually doing transport now as well.
you know, I'm just saying that I don't want to see, personally, I want to see that option. I want to see us stay in the emergency rescue business, the non-emergency transport, I got it. And if they're able to help us out when we need it, that's fine. But when the time comes that we need more equipment, more personnel, we need to push for that.
Call for question.
No.
Okay.
I'd like
Commissioner
to
Adams,
make
aye.
one more comment. So the reason I bring up things when things come up like this is because sometimes things pop into your head when you have the person sitting in front of you and you read a document, and this is our opportunity to do so as a board. So my one question is, and we talked about this a few months ago, maybe it was like 6 months ago, and you were working towards possibly do this, but will these, when the first time we talked about this, outside operators coming in, will they be able to augment us in some of these, because we document these frequent flyer type calls that we get that are really not traumatic and not necessarily require an ambulance, but will at some point they be able to augment our service so our people are freed up to take the more serious calls? Is there a mechanism to do that in the future with these partnerships that we have?
Well, I mean, I don't know that I'm comfortable with saying a frequent flyer or somebody that uses a system on a normal basis today that's not an emergency. So, I mean, if we got there and we were able to say this could be transported by an outside corporation, absolutely. But we're going to still send our units into them primarily because we don't know if they actually have an emergency today. So, we would do the primary on it if it was deemed necessary for that we didn't have units available, we could call it private transport, and absolutely.
So the way this works then is we still have to release it to them from the site?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, we got a proper motion and proper second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, item,
That was it on the consent agenda, I believe.
okay, D and E together.
You need,
Okay, all right, we're gonna take a 3-minute break.
What about the other 8 seconds?
Go ahead and reconvene our Board of County Commission meeting, and we will move down to item 6, the Honorable Clerk of Court, Matt Reynolds.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing this morning.
Okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner, we'll move down to appointments, and I'll start with my far left, Commissioner Rawls. Any appointments today?
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
I have none, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Adamsack.
I have none at this time, but I do see I have 2 new vacancies, so we'll be working on them in the next month or so.
Okay, Commissioner Turner.
I have none today, sir.
Okay, and I have none also. So we'll move down to item 8, which is public comment on miscellaneous items. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board, but expect it's not reasonable to, that the boards will engage in any debate or deliberation. Anybody wishing to make any public comment on miscellaneous items today? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment portion, and we'll move down to comments from County Administrator, Mr. Terry Suggs.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board. Just a couple of things this morning is just a reminder that immediately following the afternoon workshop, myself and 3 of our staff members will be headed to Tallahassee to get started in the morning with some meetings. I believe Commissioner Harvey was gracious enough to set us up with a real early morning meeting, I think 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. So
With that.
we appreciate that.
They got a problem with that.
That's the middle of the day for you, but for them, they're not even up yet.
But we do have a full slate of appointments tomorrow at the Capitol, getting ready for our rural days, of course, that afternoon, and then the following day, Thursday. So looking forward to getting back in Tallahassee. It's been a while since COVID has allowed us to get there, so looking forward to meeting and greeting again. And also, I asked Mr. Siafi if he wouldn't mind giving the board, the full board, an update on where we are with Citizen Serve this morning and the great progress that we're making with Citizen Serve. So, Mr. Siafi, would you gracious, please?
While he's coming up, Sarah handed out a copy of the schedule of events for rural days and some maps and some other information to make it a little bit easier to maneuver around up in Tallahassee.
And I was gonna actually ask him to do that during my commissioner comments, so thank you for that, Administrator Suggs.
Well, that's
Stealing all my thunder.
No, that's why we work so well together. We're on the same page, sir.
Okay, Mr. Siafi?
Good morning, Commission. Citizen Serve went live last Tuesday. System is operating as it should be. We're still continuing on with data conversion, some stuff that didn't get transferred over. But other than that, we're getting where the citizens can log in at home or anywhere they're out on the road. They can do it on their phone and apply for a permit. We're going to have some hurdles as we move forward, but these are all little, I call them baby hurdles, because the amount of data that we transferred over was massive from 30 years. So we missed a little bit. It's to be expected, but Leo and myself are actually putting all that stuff in. All the contractors received another email yesterday updating them that we have a new system with their login information. So as we move through this, as we get through the hurdles, I think it's going to be a big win for the county. It's going to be way more interactive than we've ever seen here, and I think we're going to get good reviews once we're totally live and migrated over. Any questions I'll entertain at this time.
Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Siafi. I do have a question. In the past couple of years, the biggest complaints I get when I come over and bring you something is it seems like by the time I get the complaint, it's the homeowner who listens to a contractor tell them not the truth. And I'll just say it the way it is. And then when you pull the records, you go, but the contractor didn't do this, or the contractor didn't do that, or we talked to the contractor last week, but he's blaming, or he or she's blaming your department in front of the homeowner, which makes us look bad. Is the homeowner able to access that Citizen Serve if they have a contractor who's misleading them in that process?
So there is a public search feature, but the contractor, whoever applied for those permits, who's linked to those permits, have full access to the permits. But a public search is available for them to read, review comments and stuff like that. So the software is not going to cure that ache we have. That is misinformation given.
Right.
And every time that we look into a situation, at Putnam County, we treat everybody the same way. It doesn't matter who you are. We follow the same process. So I can go to bed at night knowing that I've treated everybody fairly and equitably. So I don't know if the software is going to cure that ail, but they'll be able to look into it on their own. I don't know how much. I haven't looked at that side yet. I know they can access it. To what detail, I couldn't give you an answer at this point. Within 2 weeks, I'll give you a better answer on that.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Rawls?
You know, I get complaints every now and then, and I tell people I fail as many inspections as anybody else, but I don't look at it as a failure. It's just an opportunity for us to either learn or, you know, the other day we had a grounding screw that was missing by the electrician installed it. It was picked out by the inspector, but the grounding screw would have been missing had he not caught it. Nobody on our side caught it. Nobody on the electrician's side caught it. There was also there was a piece of bracing that was missing, and this is a house that I'm building for my parents. So you know, it's not that we're not paying attention, but there's so many pieces and parts when you're putting a construction project together. I would be shocked if you're able to go out and knock it out of the ballpark every single time. It's just not going to happen, and the public has to be aware of that. I don't know, you know, if contractors are misleading their people. I don't see how they could mislead them and say it's the building department's fault. The code is a code, you know.
I can speak to that. We've had a few that Commissioner Harvey's is referencing as the county's holding me up. Well, the application hadn't even been turned in yet. We've had those cases.
Or they turn it in incomplete on
Incomplete,
purpose
right.
because they don't have time to start the job.
Right.
I've had that happen multiple times in the last 2 years, and they call me, and I go back to the homeowner, say, they turn in an incomplete application, they're not gonna get a permit till they fix it. Well, they don't wanna fix it because then they got to go start the job, and they don't have time to start the job, especially the pool people, because they're so far out.
Oh yeah, they're a year plus.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, that's
Yeah.
it's just gonna be part of certain contractors' game to do that. They can say, I turned in a permit application, I'll let you know when I get it. 4 months later, I still hadn't got it. Well, that's because they know, in every case that I knew of, they knew that they needed to go give additional information. They were using that as a reason they didn't go start, because they couldn't start.
Right.
So, you know, that's not gonna fix that no matter what you do.
Well,
And I was referring to some out-of-towners that, because we've dealt with even mobile home movers.
Right.
Who hasn't even submitted a site plan. And it was clear that they need to, but they blame the county, and then the constituent says, what's wrong with y'all? Well, there's nothing wrong with us. We'll do our job if we're given the proper information. And we run into that quite a bit.
There's no software gonna fix that.
No, not at all.
And I can also tell the rest of the board, and I know Mr. Turner knows this, but, you know, you guys really, really, really need to have, something needs to happen where you can get more staff. You're starting to get a lot more demand, and you don't even know what you're fixing to get. You know, I'm privy to things that you guys don't know about, and it's not gonna rock your world, but it's gonna slow things down for the other people that are wanting to come in here. And the development that we're seeing in the county is tremendous right now.
Well, I just want to tell the commissioners, bear with us for the next couple of weeks. You're going to get some complaints that it's taken 4 weeks at this point. We've had data conversion at the same time as we're doing a review. So I would love to find a couple other plan reviewers. They're not out there.
John, we knew there were gonna be growing pains when we switched over. Both of us have discussed this already.
Yes.
So, but I truly believe within a couple of months, it's gonna be worth the effort to get
Absolutely.
there.
Is there anything that we can do to entice people here to come in as a plan reviewer?
I've got ads all over the International Code Council, Building Official Association. COVID has taken away my ability to network, right? We used to meet once a month, all the building officials. You know, I had to watch it because I don't want any hits on me, but I've, you know, tried to steal people from other counties. They're all doing it. So it's a culture we're selling here, and it's worked for a few guys that have come over, but we haven't been able to meet for over a year now. So
Oh, wow.
I'm hoping that goes live again. But I'm emailing people all the time. I go on the state website, see who's licensed, and I shoot out emails. So I'm doing what I can do. We'll find I don't want just anybody in the county. We need the right fit at the same time. So.
Right.
Okay, thank you, John, for
Yes, sir.
your efforts and your staff efforts. I know this has been a long time coming, and I have poked a little fun at you about maybe you have a little more gray hair during this process.
That's all right.
But thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I'll put in a rec for some greasing or something.
Now you're showing your age.
That's funny.
My
Okay.
final comments, Mr. Chairman, is I want to take one more opportunity to tout a department has done an outstanding job here, lady. If you remember, it wasn't long ago that we were in this room with and it was fairly packed with fire rescue issues. And I'm going to tell you that the work that fire rescue has done under the direction of Director Grimes is phenomenal. As you see, he brought two more things to us today to continue to move his department in Putnam County forward. So I want to take the opportunity to personally thank him for his work, because it wasn't that long ago that we were neck deep in a lot of turmoil, and because of his leadership and the team that he's put together, fire rescue has made a tremendous difference, and I'm just proud of the fact that we're where we are today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my comments.
Yes, you are correct. We've made a lot of progress in a short amount of time, so thank you, JR, and all your staff. Rich Commando, County Attorney.
Just wanted to thank the commission for your understanding while I had to miss the last meeting. Things have improved significantly, and I appreciate all your prayers. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner Adamsack.
As far as the IT committee, or whatever we're calling it, I didn't realize there was a meeting last week, but am I not to be part of that anymore? I just would like some clarification. I like being on the same page, but let's be in the same book.
I don't believe that was an IT committee, so to speak. I think it was more of a stakeholders meeting.
Yeah,
and
that's
they
what
just-
we changed it to, was stakeholders meeting. I mean, that was under the guise of what we were doing. So
We'll
do
look
we-
into that, Commissioner. I know that Chairman Pickens attended the meeting, so I'll look and see what the issue is, and then get you back on the invite list.
Okay.
There was
I mean,
no
if it's the
ill
will of the
intent.
commission that they didn't want me to participate in it, that's fine.
Commissioner, there's no ill intent there. It was just an oversight.
Thank you. And then I guess two other things is, last year when we had the lady come and present to us about the MSBU's for fire service, there's also brought up the EMT, I guess it would be fee. There was a public, we had stated that we wanted at least, so we have the option to do that this year if it was available. Did we ever get that out, public notice out that said that we may do that this year? Just because I didn't see anything about it. So we did?
Yes, the
Fantastic.
answer is yes.
And then the other thing is, have we gotten any findings yet from the, I guess we were seeking out a contractor or someone to do an assessment, and, you know, it's been over 6 months, I think, at this point. Do we have any output from that? And if so, I'd like to see it.
Are we talking about the fire EMS?
Yeah, for
Yes,
when
sir. We've engaged our consultant as doing some information, gathering for that. We've got a little of information back, but we're not at a point where they're ready to sit down with us, and we'll schedule a meeting with them hopefully in the next couple, 3 weeks, I believe is what we, last conversation. Once we get enough information and we can bring public to the board, we'll schedule a workshop.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Turner, you got a comment?
Yes, isn't it my understanding that we haven't voted to do anything yet other than look into it?
That is correct, sir. All we've done right now is engage the consultant, as we're given the authority to get numbers put together to bring back to you folks for you to have a discussion.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct.
Okay, Commissioner Rawls?
I just like to have a brief conversation with the board. I think we need to start taking a look at a strategic approach to how we're going to move forward over the next few years. I know that we don't have crystal balls, but we do have some things that are hard and fast in place right now. I think that we can start trying to figure out mitigation strategies to be able to get to the point that we can retain our staff as much as possible. I really believe with the current economy and with the $15 an hour minimum wage facing us, it's going to create a lot of heartache for a lot of employees. And you know, if you go from making from $8 an hour to $15 an hour, that's a $7 an hour jump. If you go from 11 to 15, that's a $4 an hour jump. But that's a 30% increase in pay. The folks that are making between 15 and 20 right now are my concern, is that we compress the pay scale down to the point that there's just really no reason to work for the county. I was told the federal government the other day went to a minimum wage of $15 an hour. I believe the state is already there. I think that we need to take a look at this strategically and see what we can do and how we can get the funding to do it. I don't know that the ad valorem assessment is going to be enough to cover it. And then also be able to talk about the folks that are between the 15 to 20 or 22 or $24. And, I think we have to be meaningful in our approach, so we don't cause someone to take a look around at other communities or other maybe private sector employers that may be paying more. So I think we need to take a look at getting this on our agenda and having workshop conversations about it. And then I'll try to find the email. There's an email that went out for the Northeast Florida Council. They're having a mental health and substance abuse symposium, and it'll be a regional symposium in Wolgoff Village. I honestly don't, I tried to look at my calendar. I thought I'd put it on my calendar, but it's either March or April. But I would encourage y'all to try to find that email. It was sent out by Beth from Regional Council, and I think it's something we can all gain from. It just seems to me like we're misallocating money if we reallocated it to try to help folks that want to get into recovery, have the ability to get re-engaged in society. And then I've encouraged one of the pastors of a local church to see if he can reach out to the Pastoral Association about trying to get a conversation started countywide so we can start looking at destigmatizing substance abuse and mental health in Putnam County. I think there's a lot of people out there that have made mistakes. I'm sure we all have. And, I think we, as a community, we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to them to start taking a look at it in a different light and being less. And I'm like anybody else, it's easy to just say, no, I don't want anything to do with you working for me. But I think from an employer's perspective, we do need to re-engage the folks, get them back to work, and help keep them clean cut and sober. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Adams, that you had a
I
comment?
just want to respond to the first part of what he's talking about. So I have some ideas around that, and Ms. Julianne and Ms. Sarah are working on some data for me that's going to help me formulate what I think of a plan. And at that point, I'll talk to both of them and see what they think of it, and then hopefully I can present something to the board. One question I did have with the ARPA funds, this just popped into my head, and I apologize for going out of context. The paper said that we did 10.5 million, and was it 10.5 or 9.6?
10 point.
When I was doing the numbers.
10.8.
3.5.
Okay.
10.856.
So after I saw that in the paper, because for whatever reason I thought we did like 9.8 something, which is fine either way. But I talked to Sam after that, and there's a $10 million option, which does take some of the burden off of staff, where basically you don't have to produce as much documentation and stuff for it. I'd like to propose to the board that we allow staff, since we exceeded the 10 million threshold, to use that $10 million option, which allows them a lot more. I think it makes, from talking to Sam, it makes your job a lot easier as far as documenting what you're doing and other things. And so if that's something of interest, I think Sam was interested in that. I'd like to propose that we do that.
So I think you're confusing the two or mixing details up a little bit. With the new flexibility, basically the Flexibility Act got rolled into the final guidance, and it allows for us to calculate revenue loss or take up to 10 million in flexible, the flexibility part of it. It doesn't allow you, so of total, you're not getting any additional funds.
Right.
Right.
You're gonna, that $10 million can be used for governmental services with increased flexibility on how it meets eligibility, but not how it's validated. So we've already spent the 10 point whatever, but all of those projects are valid projects.
Right. So from what Sam said, it sounded like it'd be easier for him if we went that route. So I just wanted to make that available, that I'm willing to support that. So if it doesn't make it easier, then forget about it.
Okay, there's nothing on y'all's end that has to be done for us to plug and play those numbers.
Perfect.
That's all. Administrator Suggs, you had a comment on that?
Yes, sir. As you can tell, Mr. Sullivan's not in the room today. He is working remotely today to take care of some other business, but he just sent us a nice text message. Obviously, we just got picked up in the Florida Journal, Business Journal, that the plan for the Putnam Port moves forward in the Florida Senate. So getting a lot of positive traction on that project. And I'd like to say here today, thank you to Senator Perry for pushing that through the Senate and Representative Payne on the House side. But looks like Putnam County is getting a lot of publicity right now on the work we're doing out at the port. So thank you, Five, for allowing us to continue that project.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams?
Yeah, and I'd like to, so I made some calls in the last 2 weeks to different state senators and different people that I have contact with. I know Mr. Harvey does that regularly as well. I'd like to encourage all of us, this is one of the things that I did have on my list. I tried first to get a feel for where it was from a few of them that I know aren't necessarily the most cooperative state representatives that we have. It didn't give me the good feeling, but then I started calling some others, and I think you're absolutely right. I think it is going a lot better than I anticipated from the first couple of calls that I made, and I'd appreciate if all 5 of us commissioners would take that time and do that as well. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Some of us talk to our legislators quite frequently.
Yeah, I talk to them, like, not just our 2, I actually don't talk to them that much.
Okay, Commissioner Turner?
I have nothing else to add today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a friend of mine says, no good deed goes unpunished, and I think we worked very hard last year under the leadership that we had here to bring projects out, and comments that are being thrown out need to be very vetted. I was very adamant to making sure that priorities were addressed, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I do want to say that we got a busy week coming up. It's time for us to go up and promote Putnam County. Putnam County needs promoting. I congratulate One Putnam for the work that they're doing and putting that in the forefront, but it's all going to take us community-wide to move Putnam County forward. And I tell you, I don't go anywhere in this county that I don't hear that Putnam County is moving forward in the proper direction right now than I had 7 years ago. So there's good hope coming, and there's good things happening. There's going to be challenges, and we're going to have to face those head on. But as a board, we will continue to move Putnam County forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Harvey.
Chairman, if I could say, I just found the date. It's March 31st, if y'all want to look at that on your calendar at the World Golf Village. There's no time listed, so I'm assuming it's going to start probably 9 o'clock in the morning. But
Mr. Chairman, could he email those out to us?
Yeah, could you?
I could forward that to Sarah and have her send it out.
I think it's already been sent by the regional planning.
Yeah, it went out to everybody.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make a comment. I was honored to participate in the Martin Luther King celebration in Crescent City on the 17th with a march through Crescent City to Evelines Park for a little ceremony. I want to thank Veronica Glover and Miss Pat Lavelle and City Commissioner Harry Banks for putting that on. It was really good to hear some of the comments. We actually had a person who was in the 11th grade in 1964, and he said he played hooky and went to St. Augustine with his friend and actually met Martin Luther King and listened to a speech there. So it was really interesting to hear his comments. So Rural Days this week, so I'll go up tomorrow. So as I said, Sarah has given us a map and a schedule of events. So it's going to be a little chilly, so probably ought to take some extra clothes, but looking forward to that. And commissioners, on our 2 o'clock workshop that we have, if you'll see at the bottom on the agenda, I've requested a commissioner request, which is a presentation from the Don't Put Upon Putnam group, and Patrick Kennedy, I believe, is representing them on biosolids. I would like to move that to the beginning of the workshop. I've asked Mike Troxel if that's okay, and he said yes. So if that's okay with the commissioner, I'd like to move that up first so we can get them in and get them out so they don't have to sit through the whole meeting. So any further business to come?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, has anybody mentioned to that group that they probably need to go to the planning commission first? I mean, Patrick Kennedy knew this. I mean, he's done this before. He's not a newbie. He was the head of stuff around here for several years. It needs to go to the planning commission. I don't mind talking to him. Don't misunderstand me. And I know how heated and how passionate that group is about this. But the ordinance change and the change of the land code, our ordinance clearly states it needs to go to the planning commission. So, I mean, we can talk about it.
Yeah, I understand
but-
that. They asked to be, they came, last meeting and wanted to just come on the agenda. I said, well, I can get you on the agenda, and it probably would be better served at a workshop rather than just at a county commission meeting, correct? So anyway, so we put it on the next available workshop, which was a transportation workshop. So they want to make a presentation, and then we'll have to direct them of how this process has to move forward.
I was just wondering, had anybody explained to them yet that our ordinance says they got to go to the planning commission before they come to us with changes to the land code? If we're just gonna step aside and not pay any attention to the planning commission, why are they here?
My understanding is this is a change, a proposed change to our ordinance.
No,
And-
sir, I read it, and it's not just change to the ordinance, it's change to the land development
Development
code.
Right, but, and they also, when I spoke to them, I also told them that it probably would not apply to the current application
Right.
because that ship has sailed.
Well, I'm good with talking about it this afternoon. I was just wanting to make sure they understood where they weren't disappointed that this thing needs to go to the planning commission as an ordinance change.
Exactly, okay. Okay, 2 o'clock workshop. Any further business to come before this board? We stand adjourned.